I'm Neil Rupp, Mayor of New Windsor. Tonight's candidate forum is being recorded by the Community Media Center and is being streamed live on their website at www.carrollmediacenter.org. It will also be rebroadcast tomorrow evening at 7 p.m. on Channel 19. Due to the fact that it's being recorded, we ask you to turn off your cell phones. Also, we ask you to refrain from applause or any other activities that may show favoritism or opposition to any of the candidates. We have invited all 5 candidates to be here tonight to participate in the candidates forum, and 4 have shown up. Tonight's moderator is Mr. Vince Campanella. He is the co-chair of the New Windsor Economic Development Task Force.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We will start off the evening by introducing the candidates one by one, and following their introduction, each candidate will have 2 minutes for an opening statement. Our first speaker is Catherine Freed Collier.
Thank you. I'm running for City Council because I would like to help this community both to grow and to prosper. I'm an attorney. I have a practice here in town. I've been practicing law in the state of Maryland since 2001. I'm currently sworn into both the Maryland state courts and the federal bar, and I'm also sworn into the U.S. Supreme Court. I'm an expert in the law, and I feel like that would be a great asset to the City Council. Additionally, I'm a mediator, and I've spent most of my career as a mediator helping people to resolve conflicts. I'm very good at getting people to get to yes across the board in interest-based negotiation. I'm also very adverse to increasing taxes. I feel that here in Maryland in particular, the taxes on everything are way too high, and they just keep going up, and that's one of the main reasons why I keep attempting to put my name in the hat to run for office. Across the board, I feel that the taxes in the state of Maryland are too high and that we need some relief. In the town of New Windsor, since I've been living here for the last 9 years, I have watched businesses close, I've watched people come and go, and I've seen a lot of problems with real estate values going down. And I would like to see some positive change, and I'd like to also be more involved. So for those reasons, I'm running for office. I'm a member of the Carroll County and the Frederick County Bar Association. I'm also a volunteer with the Mission of Mercy and the Carroll County and the Frederick County Humane Society. I'm a member of St. Paul's Methodist Church, and I've started a First Wives and Husbands support group, which I take care of at my law office. For these reasons, I feel I'm a good candidate for this office.
Thank you. Our next speaker is David Hoffman.
Hi, good evening. Again, my name is Dave Hoffman, and I'm running for the New Windsor Town Council. I appreciate the opportunity to address the residents of New Windsor to convey my qualifications for this position. I am a 20-year resident of New Windsor and have served in various capacities to support the town over the years. I have served for 11 years on the New Windsor Planning Commission and was chairman for 3 years. In that position, I helped develop effective planning regulations for the town. I also served for 5 years as the New Windsor representative to the West Carroll Recreation Council. I ensured the children of New Windsor had sports programs and facilities available to them so they could participate in various activities throughout the year. I am currently a council member and was selected in January 2014 to fill a vacant position. Now you may ask, why vote for me? Well, I am dedicated to providing competent stewardship so that New Windsor remains a great place to live and raise a family. I believe in being fiscally responsible and ensuring strategic planning to continue to move New Windsor forward. I am a collaborative problem solver, and I am committed to providing New Windsor strong leadership. I would like to continue to serve the residents of New Windsor as a member of the Town Council. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Our next speaker, Kevin Null.
My name is Kevin Null. I'm a candidate for the New Windsor Town Council. I have the honor of being elected by the citizens, and I would be privileged to serve another term on the council. New Windsor is a great place to live and raise a family. We moved here about 30 years ago, and we raised our family here. This community is what makes the New Windsor the town that it is. I enjoy serving on the community, and I'm active in community and civic groups. As a town councilman and vice president of the town council, I believe that I have made a difference in the town. As many communities in the state and around the country, New Windsor's infrastructure is aging. The main water supply that comes into town is almost 100 years old. The water and sewer infrastructure was put in the 60s. And many of our roads need resurfaced if not rebuilt. Revenues to the town come from three basic sources: income tax, property tax, and state aid. Property and income tax revenues have been flat for the last couple of years, and we don't anticipate that that's going to change. The state aid has actually decreased. For example, state highway aid went from $95,000 a year to $6,000 a year. We use that money to repair our roads and sidewalks. We're starting to see an increase, but not enough that really matters. The challenge the town faces is how to replace or repair our infrastructure, estimated to be $8 to $10 million, without putting a burden on the citizens. I think my experience in local government and the private sector gives me the knowledge and experience to help guide the town as we address these needs. I also believe that the current town council has done an outstanding job looking after the best interests of the citizens while being fiscally responsible. I want to continue to serve the town, and I ask you for your support and vote on May 12th.
Thank you very much. Next, Kimberly Schultz.
Hello, everyone. Again, I'm Kim Schultz, and I've been on the town council for 4 years. And thank you all for your support, and I hope that you'll consider re-electing me. Before I was on the council, I attended the meetings regularly for many, many years. And that was a very useful introduction to the work of the council, and it served me well once I was elected. I've lived in New Windsor for 21 years and raised my children here, and they attended local schools and the rec council, and I've been involved in the Heritage Committee for 21 years as well. I love New Windsor, and I think it's a great place to live. And the reason that I ran for election in the first place was I wanted to do things to preserve the good things that we have and to improve our community for the future. I think it's important that the citizens know that the council and the mayor and the staff work really hard. And even though sometimes the decisions that we make are difficult, we do listen to the community. And I encourage everybody to get involved, come to the meetings, read the website. I know that when someone says something to me, I always bring it to the council, and I know that the other council members do. So I don't believe that there's government and there's citizens. We're all citizens, and we all have a part to play in making our town work. And the only other thing that I wanted to say was that I agree with Councilman Null that I think that this council has done a really good job with a lot of really big challenges, and we look forward to your support moving forward. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. I'd like to talk a little bit about the tonight's forum and the format that we're going to use. I'm going to ask each of you a series of questions. There are a mix of pre-prepared questions as well as those that have been received from the public via email. Members of the audience can write their questions on the cards provided, hold them up, they'll be collected, and then given to me. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to answer the question. All candidates will answer the identical question. At the conclusion of our question and answer period, each candidate, each of you will have 2 minutes for a summary statement. And each of these responses to the questions and the conclusion, the summary remarks, will be timed, and you will be signaled just as you have with your opening statements, and you have 2 minutes for each, the questions and the closing statements. So we'll proceed with the first question and start with Catherine Freed Collier. What is your recommendation about the future of the Dealman Inn, and do you envision the inn helping economic growth in New Windsor?
Dealman Inn is a nice concept. In my opinion, I feel it needs much more work than it can produce as far as value. At this point, I don't feel it's even safe to walk inside of it. It's been years and years and years and years and years of serious neglect, and I feel that it's not up to the town of New Windsor to renovate that particular project, because it's going to cost a lot. It's going to cost the taxpayers additional monies, and its value is somewhat limited. As far as developing the town of New Windsor, I think it's more important that we do something to try to encourage our individual entrepreneurial businesses that are here and try to replace the ones that have gone out of business. Do something to revitalize Main Street and make the general appearance of the town more inviting. As far as Dealman, I was against that purchase, and I'm still against it. I feel it's a huge project that the town of New Windsor can little afford.
Thank you. David?
Well, the Dealman Inn was purchased due to his historical significance to the town and to the possibility of the economic support and development that it could provide. I believe that the Dealman Inn is a jewel in town. It can certainly be a focal point in town. It can help to draw additional businesses to town. The council did talk to the citizens and received lots of input on things that they would like to see in the town, in the Dealman Inn. We had a feasibility study done on the building itself, what could be done, and there was a lot of possibilities that it has. I agree that it's a very expensive proposition. It's certainly going to take the right developer to work with the town to bring it to its full potential. However, considering the location that it sits in town, the fact that it is historically significant to the town, I think that we have an obligation to preserve that building in some form and utilize it to stimulate the economic development in town. Thank you.
Thank you. Kevin?
Okay. The council purchased the New Windsor Inn, or the Dealman Inn property, so that we would have some control over what went in there. There was never any intention for the town to refurbish that property. As we've heard, that property is a diamond in the rough, and it has the ability to be the centerpiece of our economic development. I think we need to work with a developer. Maybe the structure of the Dealman Inn will be different. I'm not necessarily sure that we need to save the entire inn. I do think we need to keep the facade of it as we move forward with businesses in there. I think it could be a nice mix of businesses and maybe apartments and provide the centerpiece as the town grows. We do have our Main Street project coming up through the state, so the Main Street will be revitalized from the railroad tracks to highs. That's going to help us attract businesses and other economic development to the community.
Thank you. Kimberly?
I was not on the town council when the town voted to purchase the property, but as a citizen, as a member of the Heritage Committee, I supported the purchase. It's the main corner in town. It's where the two most heavily traveled roads in town intersect, and if for no other reason, I think that the town needed to take control over what happened to that corner. If we're going to talk about improving life and making it possible for businesses to thrive, then we need to have a core place in town where that can start. And the town, is my understanding, again, it was before I was on the council, but it's my understanding the town isn't planning to spend any money on the property, maybe some in-kind services, but what the council has been working on and through the feasibility study that was done last year and finalized this year is to come together with the Department of Housing and Community Development and other state sources and grants and private funds, and I've been working with the mayor to start soliciting some of those funds. So I don't see it costing the town money. I see it creating business and bringing revenues into the town. And I think that the citizens need to, we all, and I'm a citizen too, need to have a long-term vision for this project. It's not going to happen overnight, but it's going to be worth the wait when it's done. And we'll have saved an important property that has a long history in the town and is going to bring a lot of valuable results for the town. So I think that for the town's future quality of life, that is a key property. And whatever is there could end up being a destination that actually brings people to New Windsor and then helps the other businesses. So.
Thank you. Our fifth candidate, Eric Lloyd Slack. Did you hear the question when you came in, or would you like me to repeat it?
Yes, I did. Frankly, I have more questions about the Dealman Inn than I have responses or answers. I'm running as more or less a single issue candidate. I feel that Lower New Windsor is not represented in the town council. I feel that Lower New Windsor has been taken advantage of by the town council. And my first question for the town council regarding the Dealman Inn is, what happened to Mr. Schroeder's offer to purchase the Dealman Inn? He was never responded to. That's it. That's it.
Okay. The second question, we'll start with David Hoffman, is do you feel the town should continue working with the State Highway Administration with the streetscape project, and why?
So the streetscape project is all about the beautification of New Windsor. I believe it is very important to New Windsor to continue that relationship and work with the state. The state has done some preliminary designs. We've had some town meetings on the beautification, the streetscape project. We have a lot of good responses from it. There was a lot of interest from the town in that project. Certainly, New Windsor could use the project as a stepping stone to help us bring businesses to town. During the beautification, the streetscape project, we can start to fix our infrastructure issues that we have and leverage the work that the state is going to do to help us pay for some of the projects that we need to do. So yes, I believe we need to continue down that path. It'll be a huge asset for the town once it's completed.
Thank you.
I've been involved in the streetscape project almost from the beginning back in 1998 or 99. Unfortunately, the funding, we lost the funding at that time. But I think this is an excellent opportunity for the town to have nice streets and sidewalks, some beautification, make the town really look like it should, and be the focus for economic development. We all talk about economic development and need to have business in the town. We have to have some reason to attract the people here. And the streetscape is critical to managing the flow of traffic, beautifying the town, and providing the destination that we've talked about. The town will have a lot of input on the type of design. We have some preliminary designs that are fantastic, and I think the citizens will be very pleased with what we end up with. It's going to address, like I said, it's going to address traffic issues. It's going to address the beautification of the walkways in the town itself, and I think the town's looking at putting in some period architectural lighting, which will make it a very nice project. So, yeah, I can't say enough about the project. Support it 100%, and as Councilman Huffman said, it will we will also be able to leverage the state work with work we need to do on the infrastructure. You know, that will save us some money also.
Thank you.
I also support the streetscape project, and we learned this week that the state has changed the name to Urban Reconstruction Project, so good luck us all remembering to call it that. But I think it's an opportunity. We have to be careful, but it's an opportunity for the town to get much needed funding for, as it's already been mentioned, infrastructure. We have a very ancient water system, and it needs to be, quite a bit of it needs to be replaced. Anybody who walks around town can see how bad the sidewalks are. So, you know, again, this is a project where we have to have a long-term view, and we're going to have to endure some short-term discomfort to have some long-term gain. But, you know, we need a lot of this work done. Maybe with the new administration in Annapolis, you know, Carroll County will get some more assistance, and the funding for this will come through. And one of the things that I've advocated for continuously on the council is communication with the citizens. We need to communicate, so that people aren't surprised by what's happening with this project. So, and we've done a good job with that so far, and I think we need to continue to do that. The first meeting, some people came and they said, well, why didn't we know this was happening? Well, you know, the town did put out information about it, but obviously we need to do a little bit of a better job so that people aren't surprised. So I think that that's something that's going to be really important as we move forward, but hopefully the funding will come in for that, and we can do it because it's going to have a lot of benefits for the town. It's going to help the businesses. It's going to make the town more attractive for other businesses to come in. So, yes, I support the project.
Thank you. Eric?
It all sounds very nice. I'd like to know who's going to pay for it. I only know 2 people in this room. This is not my constituency. I don't know who I'm really going to try to convince to vote for me here. Probably nobody. But Lower New Windsor does need some help. Our sidewalks are a mess. Our roads need patching, if not repaving. It sounds like a great idea. That's it.
Catherine?
Well, streetscape, I think, is really important to New Windsor, because one of the things about New Windsor that differentiates it from other towns is that it's really beautiful. When you drive through here on a summer day and you go up and down some of the historic homes on Church and on Main Street, it's just really beautiful. And I would like to see more sidewalks and walking paths and roller skating paths and places where people can actually walk without getting run over by a truck. On Main Street, we do have a hell of a lot of traffic because it is 31 as well. So we get a lot of semi-tractor trailers coming through there. I think that if we were to beautify that, made it more obviously part of it, homes and village, first of all, people might slow down a little bit and realize they're in a residential area and not a speeding ramp. And secondly, I think it would benefit every single person that lives in this town that wants to take a walk, take their dog out, I mean, walk their children around and get to know the neighbors. I think the more we walk around and enjoy the outside, the more we get to know each other, the more likely we are to bond together as a community to make some real changes that we want here. Secondly, I do believe that with all the income tax and all the other taxes that we pay to the state of Maryland, they owe us that money, and we need to go after it. It's time that we speak up. The squeaky wheel needs to get greased. We've gone a long time without the funds. It's time to get the funds and put the project in place. And I think that we could do it relatively quickly. We don't have to create a huge nuisance for homeowners. We could do it quickly, and they can see a good result. And I'm all for it. I think it's a great idea. I want to see it happen. It's an urban reconstruction project that needs to happen in this little town. So I hope that we're able to do that.
Thank you. Next question, we'll start with Kevin Null. If the Brethren Church decides to place the center on the market for sale, what measures do you feel the town should take to ensure the property continues to be a viable part of town?
I think we need to make sure that the zoning is the type of zoning that will allow resident or commercial area for commercial growth, and I believe that already exists. But I think it's important to work with a prospective buyer and find uses that mend well with what's in the town. Hopefully it would continue maybe as a conference center. Maybe there's some office space there for physicians or a pharmacy or flower shop or something. A multi-use campus would be ideal, I think, to attract businesses and tourists to the community. Unfortunately, we are going to lose some of the tourist trade that comes from the Brethren Center and frequents the restaurants we have in town. But if we can help a developer set something up, I think the town should do whatever we can, short of buying it. But I think that that is the second jewel for the town. Couple that with the Dealman Inn as maybe a destination point, then all of a sudden we have a synergy of economic development that will help the town move forward.
Thank you.
I think that the most important thing is that the town is very involved in the sale. And, you know, one of the things that we've talked about a little bit when we talked about streetscape was traffic. And we certainly have a lot of traffic. A few years ago, it was before I was on the council, but there was some citizens concerned about the traffic on Church Street. And so we had the state come in and count the cars. And we found out that just on Church Street alone, we had several thousand cars a day. So if you add that with whatever's happening on Main Street, we know that there's a lot of people coming through New Windsor, but not enough of them are stopping and spending their money here. So I think that the Brethren Center, I remember, I've been here 21 years, I remember when there were a lot more people. You'd just see people walking around town holding like walking tour maps and going to the restaurants. And since they've, I'm not quite sure what's happened up there with the conference center. I think they're just not getting as much business. You don't see as much of that. So I think that that whole campus could be some other kind of complex that was a destination or some kind of combinations of destinations, maybe some arts or maybe a theater or something, you know, some kind of a sports event or something like that. I think that it just needs to be appropriate development that enhances the town. And because it is in town, the council is going to have a chance to be involved in that. And so I think that we could turn that into an asset that would bring, again, revenues and taxes and people to town. And again, on that project, when things start happening, which at this point, you know, there's not really anything significant happening except that we know that it's for sale. We're going to just need to communicate with the citizens about what's going on and get their input.
Thank you. Eric?
I don't have any suggestions for Brethren Center. As I understand, it started out as a college. Maybe talk to some of the local education centers around the state and see if they're interested in the property. Frankly, that's your side of town, not mine. Thank you.
Thank you. Catherine?
I would love to see that as a school. I've always loved that idea of a campus and kids up there. I think it would be an excellent place to put a deaf school or a school for the blind. I know that there's a school for the blind in Frederick that's quite nice, but they don't have a campus like this. And, you know, we could probably work with the state of Maryland if we wanted to see if we could encourage something like that to come here. I think it would be ideal. I'd love to see that entire property with children, you know, there. It's so beautiful. It's a wonderful place to be, and it has a great feeling, and I think it would encourage learning for everyone. It'd be a boon to the town. You have the conference center there. You can have school events and that sort of thing very easily. So, I mean, I don't know, you know, what the town can do to help them to sell the property, but if there were an agency or an entity that is a state-sponsored entity that would be interested, we don't have a deaf school, we don't have a blind school in Carroll. We could certainly use it, and I think it would be wonderful that way. That's just one idea that I've been thinking about. I don't know how feasible it is. I'd have to actually get into it and start talking to people in the governor's office. But if I'm elected, I can tell you that it'll be one of my big projects, because I'm very interested in that property. I think it's absolutely fantastic. It's the shining star in New Windsor, but because it's up on the hill, a lot of the people down in the town don't really pay that much attention to it. And I think that if it were a school, you'd have an influx of families with their children and a lot of excitement and a lot of like energy that would really go into that could be easily promoted.
Thank you.
Well, I believe the town has an obligation to stay involved with the sale of the property. You know, it will have a great impact on the community, and so if the town stays involved, we will have not necessarily a say in what goes in there, but we can help guide along what goes in there. As the other candidates have said, it is a beautiful piece of property. It has multiple buildings that can be used for many different businesses or applications. Everything from living for elderly folks to a sporting venue, restaurants. It has the capability to support all those. So the town needs to stay involved. It certainly be part of our economic development to stimulate the town. So what can go there, the town certainly can leverage, and other businesses can leverage what is there and to continue the growth in the town. You know, it's going to take, again, someone with some deep pockets to move in and have the foresight to see that. And I think that working with the town, we can make that probably the second jewel in town, along with the Dillman Inn. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Next question. What measures do you feel the town should take to bring businesses to New Windsor? And we'll start with Kimberly Schultz.
Well, I think that we've already touched on several of the things that the town can do. If we've got a lot of empty properties. Why are there no businesses in them? And I think one of the reasons is that there's not, other than to drive through, there's not a reason to be in New Windsor. So I think that we need to develop either the Dealman or the Brethren Center or both into destinations, reasons for people to come to town. You know, Mayor Roop, in talking about the Dealman, has often said he remembers when Newmarket had all these little antique shops, and you'd see people walking around. We need something in New Windsor that's already here that will attract other businesses. And I think that even though, again, the Dealman is going to be an expensive project to rehab, although the town's not going to be doing that, we're just going to be finding the funding, it's going to be an investment, if in the long run, that will reap a lot of benefits. If we can get some good businesses in there, that gets that corner bustling. There's plenty of parking behind it. That's going to attract other businesses. It's you know, it's just the way it is. We're not going to just say, oh, come on in here, New Windsor's open for business. I belong to the Economic Development Committee for that has representatives from all the municipalities. And one of the things that an expert told us one time is businesses set up because they can make money. You know, they're not going to come because we give them tax breaks. They're not going to come because, you know, we're nice people. They're going to come because they can be successful. So we need to set the stage in New Windsor for that kind of success. And Streetscape and the Dealman and the Brethren Center can all help with that.
Thank you. Eric.
Frankly, I like New Windsor as a quiet bedroom community. I don't see why we need to attract more businesses. As I understand it, the Boxwood Inn was an antique center or antique shop at one time, and the business failed. I don't see how another antique store is going to move into the same spot if with the precedent that's already been set. It may not be as economically pleasing to the town council to have residential people instead of businesses paying taxes, but residential people have less requirements than businesses. So that kind of makes it easier. And like I say, I like New Windsor the way it is, as a quiet bedroom community. Thank you.
Thank you. Catherine?
Well, I really feel the Dealman Inn is just very expensive to try to do anything with. Obviously, I've already stated that. So I don't see that as any big savior, and I do agree that there have been antique shops in there that have failed. But one thing that we don't have that we could create, or at least try to create, would be a farmer's market and co-op. We're in the middle of an agricultural county that has some of the best produce that you can find in the entire United States. And we have all this local, wonderful, wonderful food. that we don't even have to truck very far. You know, it's a very close thing. We also have a lot of people in town on a fixed income that could use a farmer's market that would deliver to them goods such as produce and meats or whatever we can find from our local farms at a discounted rate, at a farmer's market rate, like a co-op, so that you could come in and you could buy organic food at a regular price, or you could get a good deal on tomatoes when they're in season. You could be doing some canning and taking care of your family in that way. I think that, you know, that's one of the most beautiful things about Carroll County. And if we were to put something together like that, it would benefit not just, you know, people on a fixed income, but it would also benefit everyone, because we would all have a source. You know, we could have the hen's nest eggs there. We could have, you know, butter made right on one of our farms. And we could be promoting our own Carroll County agricultural business. At the same time, providing something for the town so that they don't have to drive all the way to Safeway in Westminster to try to pick up some groceries. And they could have a better quality of food coming right here to their table seasonally. So that's one thing that I'd like to see, and I make some conversations with various organizations I'm a member of, and they're very receptive. So I think that would be an idea that I would like to promote.
Thank you. David?
Well, the town has been working with the businesses that we have to help promote them. The town has done things like they have advertised the businesses in our newsletter, on the Facebook pages. We have worked with our zoning to make sure that we are, as a community, are business friendly. A good example of that is Huber Incorporated that just opened right outside of town. So businesses are interested, and we certainly do have many buildings in town that could house businesses. I think that you know, the town will continue to look for those businesses. We continue to solicit ideas from the citizens of New Windsor, looking for things that they want, whether it's doctors, restaurants, seeing if we cannot find those businesses to bring in town, make it a viable option for those businesses to do business in town, and make it a good place for them to be a business. I think that's why I'd say.
Thank you.
Well, I think we've done a pretty good job of having businesses in town. If you look around the town, we have 2 restaurants, a garage, funeral home, a dentist, some professional offices, and we have the industrial park. So we've done a good job of keeping businesses here. Unfortunately, New Windsor does not have a traditional downtown. If you look around, there's no place that somebody could open up a store. They're all houses. So that's a niche or a specialty store that maybe would go in a house. What we are doing is looking at the industrial park and seeing if we can get some sewer out there to attract an industry. We're right on the rail siding. It's a perfect place, but the economy has put a hold on most things. We have 10 acres just on the edge of town, in the town limits, that's zoned for a shopping center. And the owners have been trying for the last 5 years or 8 years to attract business. At one point, he had a major grocery store ready to come in. The economy went down, and since then, nothing's happened. So I think we put the things in place. We have the proper zoning, we have some land available, we have some property available in the industrial park, and there's some infill in town where we could house some professional offices. But I think all in all, at least the owners of the business in town that I've spoken to are very happy with what's happening in town. Their only complaint is they don't get enough support from the citizens in the town to their establishments. And you know, as a community where we have a lot of people traveling to Baltimore or DC, they tend to stop on their way home and don't come to town. And that's a problem. I think that's been a problem for years in the town. And that's going to be hard to overcome, but we need to encourage the citizens to support the businesses that are here, and that will attract more business.
Thank you very much. Next question. During the years you have lived in New Windsor, what local civic organizations have you been a member, volunteered, and contributed to? And we'll start with Eric.
Lived in New Windsor for 10 years now. I have done some volunteer work at the Carroll County Ag Center. It started out as a probation or court order thing and continued after my obligation was fulfilled. But that would be about it. Thank you.
Am I done?
Catherine, yes.
Well, I've already kind of gone over that. I've been a member since 2001 of the Carroll County Bar Association. On that, I've served on the Judicial Committee to work with the judges and trying to make the caseloads move through the court in a more smooth manner. I've also worked with the Frederick County Bar Association on various projects there. I'm very interested and involved with the Mission of Mercy. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that, but that's a group of doctors and nurses and dentists who volunteer their time at no cost for people who cannot afford and who fall through the cracks of medical care. They do surgeries. They have 11 surgeries they're able to do at Johns Hopkins a year, and they have a mobile unit that goes into communities where people then can get free medical treatment. Additionally, I've been involved with the Carroll County Humane Society. I'm a very big advocate of animals. I would like to find homes for every animal if I could. Unfortunately, there's so many that are not wanted, and I encourage everyone out there, whether you vote for me or not, that if you have a space in your house, please go to the Humane Society in either Carroll or Frederick and look, because there's some wonderful animals there waiting for a home. I'm also a member of St. Paul's Methodist Church. I will admit I don't go on a regular basis. However, I do count myself as a Methodist. I went to a Methodist law school, and I consider that the tenets of Methodist Church is that you must practice your Christianity by giving back to the community, and you must do good works. So I use that from the Methodist Church as my motto. Additionally, I have started what I call my First Wives and Husbands Club, and that is a support group that is at my law office that focuses on people who are getting a divorce and helping them through it, and bringing in experts to talk about various subjects like children and legal matters and what to do from here.
Thank you. David?
I have devoted part of my discretionary time to civic organizations who are committed to improving the quality of life, especially the youth in New Windsor. Having raised 2 children who are now just young adults, most of my time were spent in groups that supported the kids. I was involved in the West Carroll Recreation Council as a baseball coach. I was also involved in the West Carroll Recreation Council as the softball coordinator. Without the coordinators of the programs, there would be no sporting program. I was also involved in the scouting programs, the local scouting programs in the community as my kids went through those. And most recently, I am a member of the New Windsor Heritage Committee.
Kevin?
I've served as president of the, back then it was the New Windsor Rec Council. I've also served on the Carroll County Park and Rec Board as the president of the board. I'm the president of the Greater New Windsor Committee, which is a service group here in town that provides services to the citizens. I was president of the Carroll County Council of Governments. I've been a member of the New Windsor Lions Club for over 25 years, past president 3 times and secretary for about 12 years. Just been always active in the community, enjoy serving the community, and hope to continue to serve the community.
Thank you. Kimberly?
I think that the organization in town that I've probably given the most time to would be the Heritage Committee, which like I think I mentioned earlier, I've belonged to it since 1994. And I sometimes call it my 3rd job because I spend a lot of time. I'm always the chair of the T. I'm always the chair of the house tour. It looks like I'm getting roped into the Hall of Fame this year, and I work in the museum at least one Saturday a month, which is a volunteer job. And the reason I do that is because I really believe that we learn from our history. If you want to know why the Dealman Inn is so important, come to the museum some Saturday morning, and I'll give you some reading to do, and it might change how you feel if you're not somebody who supports saving the property. I also, because I believe in learning from the past, I also belong to the Historical Society of Carroll County and the Maryland Historical Society. And when my children were young, I was involved with the Rec Council and the Carroll Boosters and the PTA. And I like to have my hands in several pots. I've never volunteered at the fire department or the Lions, but I try to support any events that they offer. And I think that it's fun to go out to those kinds of things and meet your neighbors. And most recently, I was just asked to join the Human Services Board of Carroll County, and I'll be starting to attend that and representing New Windsor on that.
Thank you. The next question really models a little bit after the previous one. It comes from the audience. Should participation in town activities, voluntary organizations, and council meetings be a prerequisite for running for town council? Start with Catherine Freak Collier.
Well, if it is, then I wouldn't be able to run, because up until now, I haven't really been participatory in the meetings, mainly because I've disagreed with a lot of the decisions that the city council and the mayor have made, but I didn't want to create animosity by voicing those disagreements. I have written letters voicing my disconcerted nature about the water bill. I think one of the things that comes to mind to me, the greatest, is the water bill. I've seen such a huge increase in that, and I haven't seen any particular betterment of the service. I think that if you want to get involved and if you want to put your name in the hat, you certainly should do it. I don't think there should be any prerequisites. I think if you have been on the council for a long time, sometimes it's good to get a changing of the guards. A lot of times people get into sort of a habit and they just sort of go along with the crowd. If somebody thinks it's a good idea, then everybody agrees. I think it's time to get some new blood on the council, just for any other reason, but to try to get people to think a different way and be a little more creative. Maybe some outside sort of innovation and creativity would be more of a prerequisite than anything. I would encourage everyone in the town of New Windsor to come to the meetings and to definitely run for office. And if there's anything that you can do to make things better, I think you definitely should do that if you have the time and the interest. I would love to see, everyone participate. One of the grumblings I've heard from this council is that people don't come to the meetings, so please come. I just want to say one quick thing. I've been on city council in Texas in the past, and
Kevin, we're going to have to move on. Thank you.
Well, I don't know if I believe it should be a prerequisite. However, I do not know how you can possibly stay informed and make decisions in your town without participating in the opportunities that are given to understand the issues with the town. I think most people in town who would come to the town meetings would be quite surprised at the caliber of issues that we deal with, that the decisions that we make, how we make those decisions, and the input that we look for from the citizens who do show up. The citizens do have the ability to participate in our meetings. They are all open meetings. We hold them here. People can participate. There is no reason why anyone would not know what's going on in town. The town publishes these items in newsletters, on Facebook pages. We put out special flyers when there's issues happening. So I believe that the opportunities are there if people are interested, if people want to participate in government, they really need to sit down and be part of the government and be part of the crowd that comes to listen to the meetings and see how we conduct our business. I think it's very easy to sit back and complain about issues when you really don't know the facts and you're doing it blindly instead of right in front of the council and get your opinions made.
Thank you, Kevin.
Well, Dave said everything I was going to say. I agree completely. I don't think it's necessary that it's mandatory. That's not a good idea. But I do agree that you have to be informed, and you can't be informed unless you attend the meetings. You know, our total budget is $1.5 million. What makes up that budget? Unless you're here at the budget meetings, understanding where our income comes from, where our expenses are, you know, it's awful hard to make an informed decision. We've been fortunate. We've had some residents here that they didn't understand what we were doing, and were really complaining. They came, sat in on our meetings, attended our budget meetings, and surprisingly, they came up afterwards and said, you know, you are doing a good job. You know, we're 5 people. We try to make decisions that are in the best interest of the town. They're not always easy decisions. The council doesn't always agree, but we usually come to a mutual understanding. But it's important to understand the workings of the town. You know, we're at $1.5 million. We're a small business. There's a lot of things happening that happens behind the scenes that nobody knows about. They only know about the problems that come up from time to time. So I think it's critical.
Thank you. Kimberly?
No, I would never say that anything should be a prerequisite. However, as I mentioned when I did my introduction, I came to the council meetings for years. And there was often times when I was the only person in the room other than the council or Mr. Coe. So, you know, it's something that takes up time. But, you know, I've mentioned before that I believe in communication, and that's because in my real job, that's what I do. And one of my favorite expressions about communication is that it's when a message is sent and received. So you have to have both pieces. And I think as citizens, we have an obligation to receive the messages that are being sent from our government, whether it's our town or our Carroll County commissioners or our senators or the president. So, you know, it's hard if you have a young family to come to a council meeting. We have our minutes are posted on the website. We have a newsletter. The water bill is kind of a good example of that. I was not on the council when the state forced us to put in the new treatment plant, but and then people were really upset, and I was upset because my bill tripled just like everybody else's did, but I knew it was coming because I had been coming to the meetings. And I guarantee you that if 1,000 people had written letters down to Annapolis, we wouldn't have ended up with holding the bag for a $5 million water treatment plant. So it's too late after it's happened. You have to be involved before the problems, you know, in our laps. And just sort of the new blood concept, there's really quite a bit of new blood on the council. Councilman Huffman's only been on for a year. Councilman Smith, who isn't here tonight, I think he's only been on for 2 years, and I've only been on for 4. So we've had some turnover, and I think that has been good for the government, and I strongly encourage people to participate in whatever way they can.
Thank you. Eric?
As I understand it, the requirements are that you have to be a citizen, a resident, and over 18, and the voters decide the rest. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. When you hear the next question, you'll understand my counsel to the candidates that you stick to 2 minutes for the answer. But the next question is, and we'll start with David, what is your vision of the town of New Windsor in 5 years and 10?
So in 5 years, I think that we'll have many projects that have probably be very close to being completed. Would hope that our infrastructure, the water and the sewer lines will have been replaced or relined. I will hope that the Main Street beautification project is well on its way to being completed in 5 years from now. We didn't talk a lot about the rest of the streets in town. We do have a little over 6 miles of streets in town. The council is working to put a plan in place to pave those streets, to make them all in a much better quality than they are currently. So within 5+ years, I hope that the rest of the streets are paved or in good shape as well. Moving farther out to the 10-year mark, I believe that with the beautification projects and the infrastructure projects complete or mostly complete, that we should see hopefully would see a business revitalization in town. Through our economic development efforts, I hope that we will have attracted some new businesses, that Dillman Inn will be long on its way to being a fruitful destination spot for the town, that the Brethren Center property will be back at full usage, and that New Windsor will be a destination spot for people to come.
Kevin?
Okay. I think also that in 5 years, I hope we're well along on our streetscape project, if not finished, very close to it. I would anticipate we have a little activity on the Dillman Inn and maybe even on the Brethren Center property. 10 years out, I would like to see us work towards expanding the industrial center. I think that we have a prime location, and with a little marketing effort from the county and the state, we could attract a business there, wholesale distributor or a warehouse or something. That would be great. I would also hope that as the economy turns around, the commercial center across from the middle school starts to be developed and gives us some more commercial base. I think that the Main Street revitalization, the Dillman Inn, the Brethren Center, and the commercial area, if we can get all that done in 10 years or maybe 15 years, the town's going to be well placed. We really need the commercial growth to help with the taxes. You know, the commercial property pays more taxes than residential and doesn't cost us as much. Residential cost us more money in taxes. So we need that base to help spread the cost of these services out.
Thank you. Kimberly?
There's not really that much left to say. My colleagues have said it all, but I think that in 5 years, it would be optimistic to say that that the Dillman project will be on its way to completion in 5 years. But I'd like to certainly see funding in place by that time and work started on developing that property. Same thing with the Brethren Center. I think that because we still don't know when they're going to sell it, and we still don't know who the buyer is going to be, and we still don't know what the plan is, but I would like to see a plan in place for that property within 5 years. You know, I agree with what Councilman Null just said. You know, we mentioned earlier, someone mentioned earlier how much we love that this is a small town and it has a nice residential vibe, and that's one of the things I love about New Windsor, and I live right on 31, so I hear those trucks going by. But the reality is that we do need businesses in town. So 10 years from now, I'd like to see businesses in place at the Dillman. I'd like to see businesses out in the industrial park, and I'd like to see businesses at the Brethren Center. And those are businesses that are going to fit into the properties that are already in town, so are already developed in that way. So it's not going to have a huge impact on the residential feel that we have. But maybe because New Windsor will be better off economically, we'll have a lot less houses for sale. Right now we have about 20 properties that are either empty or for sale, and if we want to attract people to those properties, we need to improve our tax base and improve the town. So of course the streetscape needs to be well on its way in 5 and done in 10, for sure.
Thank you. Eric?
5, 10, 15, 20 years, I still like a quiet residential bedroom community. I don't like cities. I don't like industrial complexes. I like green grass and places where I can walk my dog, and that's what I'd like to see.
Thank you. Catherine?
Well, I would like to see a blind school or a deaf school or a Montessori school or a university up on the top of the hill in New Windsor, with thriving with children. And I'd like to see a really good Facebook and web presence of Town of New Windsor. I'd like to see community pages from New Windsor where people can go and lurk and sell things and inform each other in their community on Facebook and on the internet, and have an interactive website. I'd like to have a phone application on everybody's cell phone where they can immediately get the police or get the town hall or talk about their water bill. You know, I'd like to see these kind of things happen with technology. I'd also like to see Lehigh controlled so that they're not exploding things next to people's homes and shaking the foundations of people's houses. I'd like to see a co-op, a farmer's market, something that takes into account modern trends of local sourcing for produce and other types of foodstuffs, that sources things locally from Carroll County and possibly Frederick County. I'd like to see people able to live in a community where it's small town, but yet it has certain conveniences. And because it's unique, people come here. It's not a run-of-the-mill town. It has something unique. And I think that, you know, if we were to put together things that fit our character, we don't need mall stores. We don't need chain stores. We don't need national chains. We need small, local, artisan-type things. One thing I will mention, New Windsor has in its history a lot of artists. A lot of people come here because it's so beautiful, who are artists. We could have some way to promote art in the schools and, you know, promote the town and art.
Thank you. Final question, and we'll start with you, Kevin. As a resident and taxpayer of New Windsor, what is your need or issue you want to address by serving on the town council?
As I said in my opening statement, I think our need is the aging infrastructure in the town. We have a lot of major projects that need to be undertaken. Our 5-mile water line, like I said, is 100 years old. We've been fortunate. The council was, current council was putting some plans into place to address those. We have set up capital projects, capital reserves to help us fund these projects in the next coming years. We have set up funds to repair and remediate problems now and not let them continue. In the past, it was too easy to push them down the road. Well, we can't push them down the road any further. So that's my main issue. Obviously, we can't fund this with the 530 properties we have in town. We need state aid, we need federal aid, and we have to work on that. It took us a number of years working on this treatment plant. When that first started, the interest rate was, state offices, 4.9%. That was a good deal, but we kept working, and we kept going to the state and talking to the state, and finally got the treatment plant in at no interest rate, interest-free loan, which is fantastic. But on top of that, we've been able to get an extra $1 million to help pay that down, so our water and sewer bills are even lower. Again, that's not something that the town decided to do. That's the state coming in and saying, you must, and this is what you must do. I don't want to get in that same situation with our other infrastructure needs. I think that the Streetscape project is an excellent opportunity to replace or repair our infrastructure in Main Street. And we do that at a discount because the state will already be doing a lot of work. I think we need to capitalize on that and look at what we need to do on our infrastructure moving forward.
Thank you. Kimberly?
Well, I think that one of the reasons I ran in the first place and the reason I'm running again is because I love living here, and I think we have a really wonderful quality of life, and I want to be part of keeping that quality of life. And it's all the things we've been talking about. It's that it is a small town. It's that it is green. It's that it is beautiful. It is that we have a wonderful history, including, you know, a history of art and of beautiful architecture. And but those things all cost money, you know. And as Councilman Null just mentioned, like a lot of towns, I mean, if you listen to the news, We've got decaying infrastructure. Our main water line is at least 100 years old, if not older, and we've lost a lot of money from the state. Thousands, tens of thousands of dollars that we used to get for road improvement is gone, and the town has to make that up somehow. And we don't want to do it by passing all that cost on to the citizens. We want to be creative, but it's a lot of work, and we need the citizens' input, and we need the citizens to be involved. So that's the most important thing, is to preserve all the good things that we have in New Windsor, but improve our roads, our water, the businesses in town, businesses that fit in New Windsor and add to it, so that we can keep the quality of life that we have. I don't want us to turn into a Westminster either. I want us to be New Windsor, but we do have to change some things if we're going to survive.
Thank you. Eric?
Primarily, I'd like to see an expansion of the newsletter. Many of my neighbors in Lower New Windsor are renters, and they don't get the newsletter. They don't know when the bulk trash pickup day is. They don't know when the tree pickup day is. I don't know if this is deliberate or just some kind of accident that they don't get these newsletters, but they don't. As far as the water situation, I have some personal issues with Mr. Franklin Schaefer, and thank you.
Catherine? You want me to, as a resident and taxpayer of New Windsor, what is your need or issue you want to address by serving on the town council?
Just one issue?
Need or issue?
The water bill.
Primary.
The water bill. The water bill and the water bill. And also, I do have some creative ideas as far as how the town could deal with this and deal with the state of Maryland. One of the things that I do know as an attorney is that the state of Maryland cannot make you, and they cannot make you spend money you don't have. So that's something that I think a lot of people haven't really taken into account. And I think that, while there is an interest-free loan, there's still a loan that's still being paid to the state of Maryland. And I don't know. I'd have to do some research exactly, but I have a few ideas on how I could reduce that significantly, that water bill.
Thank you. David?
Although I'd love to debate the water bill and some of the ill-informed information that's out there, my major concerns are the infrastructure of the town. Just like your house, you would not build a house on a bad foundation. We cannot continue to build our town and keep our town viable on a aging infrastructure. So the streets, the water, and the sewer system need to be maintained, need to be upgraded, need to continue to be upgraded for future years so the next generation doesn't have the same issues that we have now. They are my main concerns and where our energies need to be put.
All right, well, thank you all. That concludes our question and answer period. We'll now begin the final statements, and I'll remind you once again, just like the opening statements, you have 2 minutes, and we'll start with Catherine.
Well, I hope you'll vote for me, because I really would like to get on the council and get my hands dirty and try to see if I can implement some of these things that I have in the back of my head that might improve things. I will work very, very hard for you, citizens of New Windsor, and do my very best and devote my full energy and attention to this job if you decide to elect me. If you don't decide to elect me, I hope you will take into account some of the things that I brought up and maybe implement a few, and whether it be just simply to go down and adopt a dog at the Carroll County Humane Society. I wish this town a lot of luck, and I appreciate all the hard work that's gone into this. And I thank very much the people here from the Media Center who have been so diligent to film this for the citizens.
Thank you very much. David?
Well, I've lived in New Windsor for 20 years, and my reason for running for the New Windsor Town Council is to help New Windsor remain a great place to live and raise a family. I'm aware that as a council member, that the decisions that I make impact the residents, and I do not take that responsibility lightly. That is why I am committed to competent stewardship, strategic planning and management of the town's resources to ensure the town can adequately prioritize and address today's projects as well as future projects. I'm committed to fiscal responsibility, ensuring that the town's financial resources are used wisely. I agree with a balanced town budget, and I am an advocate of saving for a rainy day. I am committed to collaborative problem solving, working with all the town's stakeholders to resolve issues and to move the town forward. That includes the residents' concerns, the town's businesses, civic organizations, leveraging other municipalities' experiences, and where applicable, working with the state of Maryland. I would like to continue to serve the residents of New Windsor as a member of the Town Council, and I would appreciate your vote on May 12th. Thank you.
As I mentioned in the beginning, it's really an honor that I was elected, and I appreciate the support that I've had, and it would be a privilege to serve again. The Town Council is very focused on the needs of the town and the needs of the citizens, and the decisions we make, how they affect the citizens' everyday life. We spend a lot of time looking at those issues. It's very important to the council. I'd like to continue to be part of that. I also would like to continue to be part of the Main Street project. I was very active in the very beginning of that project, and I'd really like to see it to fruition. The council, we all have different opinions. We don't always agree, but we often agree to disagree, make a decision, and move forward. We all work for one thing, and that's the citizens of the town and what we can do to better help them and provide the services they want and need at a cost-effective manner. I think we've done a good job at that, and it's been an enjoyable time, and I look forward to continuing to serve the citizens and ask you for your support and vote on May 12th.
Thank you. You really?
I also want to say that I've been honored to serve on the New Windsor Town Council. You know, I think that as a local government official, we can really have an impact that we can see and feel on our community. I have friends who have been in higher office, and they get really caught up in the politics of the job. But in New Windsor, we're just doing our job. You know, we're all people who have full-time jobs, and we take some of our personal time to serve on the council, and that's because we love New Windsor and it's important to us. I'm going to sort of stick with my theme of communication because I think that's one of the things that I've brought to the council. I've always encouraged strong and regular outreach. I'm really sorry to hear about the thing with the newsletter. I'm certainly going to look into that and try to find out why people are not getting a newsletter, because that's our primary mode of communication. I've encouraged us to start social media accounts. We now have a Facebook group. There's also a Twitter account, and I'm actually on a committee where we're working with some vendors to redesign the website. One of the things that I do in my full-time job is I manage a website, so I think I can bring a lot of energy and information to that process. It's really important to me that the citizens of New Windsor understand the decisions that we make. We don't like them sometimes. You know, we have to make choices that we don't always like, but I want the citizens to understand why we've made them. That's really important to me. And one of the things that I think that is most important for us to do as a council is to support our staff. We have a really good staff. We're really fortunate to have great people in the office and great people in public works who do a good job. So I would like to continue to serve on the council, and I ask for your vote on May 12th. Thank you.
Eric?
Not an eloquent speaker. I'm not a very attractive person. In fact, I'm downright unpleasant to most people. But I work hard, I'm honest, and I have my issue, and that's what I'm sticking to, and we'll see. Thank you.
Well, thank you all very much. I'd like to thank the participants tonight, and I'd like to thank the audience for their participation. It's been an honor to be a part of the process. And with that, I turn the microphone back to the mayor.
Thank you, Vince. I think the 5 candidates have earned a round of applause for them being here tonight. Also, I'd like to thank Vince Campanella for doing a great job as moderator, and also to the Community Media Center that has taped this tonight, and will have it on their website at www.carrollmediacenter.org, and also on Channel 19 at 7 o'clock tomorrow evening. It will also be on the New Windsor Town website at www.newwindsormd.org. That will probably be within the next 2 or 3 days after the Community Media Center sends us the link. Again, May 12th is our election right here in this building, and the residents of New Windsor, this is your town, this is your future. Come out and vote. Thank you.